Welcome back, people. We have another karting video. You join me at Teamsport Nottingham for the regional finals of the UK's premier indoor karting competition, BIKC. Yeah. This year we're looking to... Well, I'm not even sure what I was looking to do this year, to be honest. Just doing BIKC is a bit of fun, but will be nice to defend my regional win from last year. Obviously, if you watch my Preston video, I said I wasn't doing any practice, and I stuck with that. I did absolutely no practice for this event this year. Obviously, I came here last year and did some practice, and that was on speed 4. And this year they ran it on speed 3. I do think it led to better racing, so I'm not going to have any complaints about that. And the track doesn't really drive any different, but obviously there's a bit of rustiness going on. And yeah, so format for this event took a change from previous years. So we had a 5-minute practice, which officially was never meant to happen, but no complaints from me. And then that leads into a 4-minute quali for your 8-minute heat. And then you would do another 4-minute quali for the next heat, and then same again for the third heat. That would give you points, and then the points would then base the grid positions for the semi-final. Top point scorer on pole, second on pole for the other semi-final, and so on and so on. And then the top 6 go through to the grand final. So footage in front of you is heat 1. Qualified P6 behind Chris and Billy, who was in 4th originally. Billy just gets done off the start. I think he just got caught a bit napping by Chris. Chris just slotted past him for the first couple of corners. And then really, I was just looking to stick onto the back of him, see if I can gain a bit more consistency just following someone. But yeah, my driving in this heat was just... It wasn't great. I was making a few mistakes and like locking the brakes and whatnot. So we'll skip forward a bit now. Still behind Billy and Chris. Top 2 have basically drove off into the distance, and that's not too far ahead. I was, to be honest, at this point in the race, I was like, where am I going to make an overtake? Billy just opens the door for me there. I think it was a bit lapse in concentration from himself. I do give him a nudge at the bottom of the ramp. Obviously that's not going to affect him at any point. So he knew I was there. I just think he just wasn't paying attention, in all honesty. So it gives me the gap to go up as inside into the like teardrop sort of thing, and then we slot in behind Chris. So we've been following Chris for 5-6 laps at this point. This was probably the only dodgy overtake I did on the day. To be fair, I only did 2 overtakes during the full day, and this is the last one. I've been looking for this move for a while. Going into the corner, Chris just brakes harder than I expect, and I give him a slight tap in the back. And all this, I'm not going to lie. Throws him off on the exit, and then it just allows me to go past him going up the ramp, and then I just slot into P4. I'll be honest, I was expecting a penalty from that move. I did toy with the idea of giving him the place back, but if anyone who does any indoor karting knows that overtaking on an indoor track is really difficult, or it can be really difficult, especially if the guy ahead of you is just white lining it the full time. So in my head it was a bit of like, do I give the place back if I do get a penalty, or do I just risk the chance of not getting a penalty, or if I do, just outdriving it? So I just took the second option and see if I could outdrive it. I didn't really drive away at the end of the day, but I did get away with it, and I didn't get a penalty from that. So we ended the race in P4, and then we move on to Heat 2 now. We qualified second behind Billy here. Unbeknownst to me, that the car that Billy was in was probably one of, if not the quickest kart on the day, being kart 7. So I just thought, I'm happy with a P2 start here. We will follow Billy, see if we can... If an opportunity to make an overtake comes up, we will. You know, I did it in the last race on him, so it wasn't like it was going to be impossible to get past him. Race starts now. Tyler pressing the boost and sending up his inside. He doesn't defend it. I feel like I probably could have sent a move there, but I didn't want to risk the penalty. You know, if he if he turns in early, I expect I'm probably at risk of either getting put into the barrier or just getting a penalty at the end of the day. So can't remember who lined up behind me in fourth, but pretty early on, Harvey Sudden-Scott makes the move into P3 and he's behind me, but I'm not really under any real pressure. The issue I had this race was that because kart 7 was so powerful that I was struggling to get an opportunity to make a move. So coming out of some of the corners, I just couldn't keep up. So I used the boost here, and Billy's pulling away like it's nothing. I just could not keep up. So in my head, I was a bit like, do I continue to use the booster and just self P2, or do I look for other opportunities to use the boost? So I was starting to use it down this straight here on, see if I could get a move into that corner. It never really works out. I end up at one point using it going down the ramp like it works on speed 4 to see if I could get close enough to send one in the same place I did in the last race. I can't really keep up through the rest of the lap to ever make that opportunity come about, so that goes out the window. And then the last place I did want to start using the boost really was coming out of like the first couple of corners into the hairpin and use it there, because it seemed really strong going in there, and I never really got the opportunity because I had Harvey behind me, so I was worrying about Harvey being able to send a move and whatnot. So yeah, I just ended up settling for second, and then we'll skip on again into heat 3 this time, put it on pole position. I think this was probably, alongside the kart I had in the previous race, probably one of the stronger karts that I had over the day. We got Christine in P2, who is in kart 7. Did speak to Christine before when we were lining up to do our own start, and he was pretty much like, he's going to defend from Harvey, so I didn't really have to worry about him in this heat, in all honesty. Luckily for me, that defending worked in my favour anyway, because obviously lap times don't matter. I just wanted the P1 finishing position, which, considering I came in with no practice, I am taking that all day. Like, that gives me strong points going into the semis. So yeah, semi-final positions, they were, who was on pole? So we had Alex Westmoreland on pole for one semi-final. He was the overall highest point scorer. Don't know what finishing positions he had, but I know he had good ones. And then it was between me and Harvey for pole position in the other semi-final. So if there's a tie break in points, they don't go off fastest laps, which I thought they were going to, but instead they go off best finishing positions. So Harvey's finishing positions was a first, was his best, and then he's then had 2 third place finishing positions. I myself had a first, so obviously we were joint on first finishing positions, and then I had a second place from the second heat, and Harvey didn't. So that gave me pole for the semi-final. Lining up now to go out for the semi-final, just waiting for the green lights. This race, I was a bit worried. I had Harvey behind me this race, and obviously Harvey's done quite a lot of practice for this, so his consistency was insane, and his one lap pace was pretty insane as well, I'm not gonna lie. So I was a bit worried coming into this race that I was going to spend the full race defending, and that it wouldn't really give me a shot at fighting for pole for the grand final. But no, thankfully, did speak to Harvey before, and he said he was just set lap times. I think maybe Harvey thought that he knew I would defend pretty hard if I had to. At the end of the day, I'm not bothered where I finish. Top 3 still go through, and if I set a slower time than the guy in the other semi, which was Dylan, who won it, I'm still starting second, and I can still just white line the grand final, so it's no skin off my nose to defend for the full 12-minute semi, whatever it is. But no, he ends up backing off. I think we pull away at the beginning, and then he backs off, and then we just go for lap times. He is at some point just flying up behind me, so if Harvey wanted to race me, he probably could have raced me. Whether he would have overtaken me, I don't know, because I would have just defended. So, and I know I can defend. It's not particularly difficult to defend at this track at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm getting a bit frustrated with the car there. It felt like at some points the brakes were sticking. My foot was completely off the brake, and I had my foot down on the accelerator, and it just would not move at all. So yeah, but also at the back of my head, I had I watched obviously Hassan's video from regionals last year, and he had Harvey behind him in the semi, and he was fighting with him for full time. So I did have that in the back of my head, but luckily he doesn't. And that gives me pole position for the grand final, which we're out for now. So I started pole for this, and then we had Dylan Bowers in second, Jordan Bolton in third, who's set an insane time in the semi. I'm surprised Harvey didn't beat it because he was quick as well, so it must have been tight. And then Harvey starting in fourth. I'd made that Harvey was going to make his way through because he'd been strong with the overtakes throughout the day, so it wouldn't surprise me if he made it all the way through. So I spoke to Dylan again on the lineup to start the grand final, and he said he was a bit worried he wasn't going to be able to keep up with me, but I knew Dylan had some pace anyway, so I was a bit like, yeah, you probably will keep up with me, but I'm not bothered about racing anyway. I just said to him I would rather us pull away if we're going to start fighting, and in fairness to us, we do start like slightly pulling away from third, because I think Jordan's having to defend from Harvey pretty early on. But yeah, I think the gap was never that big, and I was kind of comfortable just sitting in the middle of the track and just not really taking the racing line. It's, at the end of the day, grand final, lap times don't matter, it's where you finished. At the end of this race, I do win. I don't know how. When I looked at the lap times at the end, I had the second slowest fastest lap, which, I'm not going to lie, the car did feel absolutely dog shit. Like, it wasn't just the fact that I was driving like shit. I am taking the racing line a lot of the laps, but this car just felt horrible, man. It was kart 35. Like, from memory, I'm pretty sure the kart was taken out and then put back in at some point, and it just, like, it was so shit. Like, yeah, I'm not arsed at the end of the day. Like, I just turned up for a bit of fun. The fact that I ended up winning the grand final and winning the regionals again is just like, it is what it is. It just so happened. I don't feel like I was the quickest driver on the day. I think there was other people who deserved to win more than me, like Dylan behind me, Harvey, Jordan, Alex, all of them. I feel like they all deserve to beat me. I think what won me regionals this year was the first heat, being able to just make them 2 overtakes for the P4 and then just get into grips with the track again pretty quickly after that with heat 2 and heat 3 with the P2, P1 finishes. So I think that just played into my advantage at the end of the day, just being able to ramp up to the track as quickly as I did. Other than that, I gotta say, I don't know how they're letting me turn up to regionals on no practice and win. Like, I don't know, I didn't expect it, but I just found it funny at the end of the day. So yeah, through to nationals, free entry again, less money. Like I said in my locals video, the less money I spend on Teamsport, the better. But nationals this year, the expectations nowhere near as high as it was last year. I think last year, obviously, I came in quite a lot of practice, kind of went heavy on it, expecting to win, I'm not going to lie, and debatably should have won it last year. I'm like, no disrespect to Hassan, I was the quickest driver on the day at nationals last year, and I did just get fucked over by a red flag at the end of the day. But no, this year it's nowhere near that level. I just think karts this year at Warrington are pretty dog shit. Like, they're so inconsistent, the parity's awful, everything about them. They changed the chassis on them, they feel horrible to drive, the track is so bouncy. They've changed something on the software which just makes them even worse to drive. Like, I would prefer, if they were going to change anything, like, if they're going to keep the chassis, they're going to keep the chassis. If they're going to change anything on the karts, it would literally be take it back to what they were earlier this year. Like, they were so much better to drive, and the biz karts, don't get me wrong, aren't the most enjoyable to drive anyway. So yeah, it's just one of them. Like, something needs to change before nationals, because I think with the kart parity and the way that them karts drive at the minute, like, nationals is going to be a bit of a joke, I'm not going to lie. But I don't care, I get it for free, and I'm just doing this competition as something to do. So I'm not going to have any complaints if I pull shit karts at nationals. It's it is what it is at the end of the day. If I turn up and do some practice, which I am booked onto one members event, I think it's Battle Heats, which is like 2 weeks before nationals, and my pace is strong and it's like top, like we're talking like podium level pace, then I would be pretty annoyed if I pull some shitters. But at the end of the day, you know, it's not that deep. It's just BIKC. So yeah, we'll see what happens at nationals. Again, with the grand final, there's nothing really to say, so I'm just gonna let it play through. There's about 10 minutes left. There's nothing really to say. I'm just sat at the front defending and whatnot. Congratulations on everyone who made it through, obviously, especially here. So I won, obviously. Then we got Dylan finished second, Harvey finished third. Harvey did finish second on track, but he got a penalty for something. I'm not quite sure what it was. And yeah, good luck to everyone else who made it through to nationals this year across everywhere. Especially Jake Anders. Hopefully he retains his junior title from last year, even though there was some team games going on in that grand final. And Tom Fox, good to see Tom Fox go one better as well and win it this year. I think he was a bit unlucky last year to not win it, because he was definitely the quickest in that grand final. And for heavyweights, I mean, anyone could win it, I think. I'm looking mainly at Chris Knight. You think I was a Warrington merchant last year? Like, Chris Knight is next level Warrington merchant. No disrespect to him, obviously, but he is insane around Warrington. So I think he's going to be one to look out for. I think he's flying a bit under the radar. Obviously with it being his first year doing BIKC, but you know, he was ex-staff member at Warrington. He knows the track like his back of his hand. No, obviously got Hassan. I think he's going to be in with a shout as well. Ross Samwell is on fire this year, so I think Ross is in with a shout as well. And then God knows how many people. Pretty much everyone at Nationals is in with a chance, but they're like my top 3 picks for heavyweights, really. But yeah, I'll let it play through. Next video might be Nationals, to be honest. I was toying with making MK, but nothing really happens though. And I'm sure EKS will do a better job of doing the race footage than I would with mine. So yeah, I will see you on the next one, and goodbye.
Fucking brakes on his fucking car, man. the line so you can go straight through. This fucking car is blind. The fucking brakes keep sticking, it's so annoying. Yeah, I just didn't want to leave the gap. Oh.